What is up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're here for another episode of the F1 2019 career mode. This time we're in Hungary at the Budapest circuit, and it's going to be difficult for us. I feel it's quite a challenging circuit. A bit more medium slow speed corners compared to what we used to over the last few rounds. We've had Germany, which is quite high speed corners, and obviously a few long straights. But it's going to be challenging for sure. And we've got quite a good bit of downforce on the car, so with any luck, we may be able to actually get some good points here, hopefully. And if we can at least get into Q3, that would be even better. We've struggled to do that the last few races. I generally feel it's to do with the power unit, but there's obviously no way to confirm that other than doing what we can and seeing what's possible. Great start to the weekend. Got a sensor fault on the car, so we couldn't go straight out. Engineer obviously telling us we got a problem, so we'll just nod our head and let them know that nothing we could do really. We just had to sit and wait. But we did struggle definitely towards the back end. I started to come into it a little bit more during the race, getting used to how the car handles and obviously turning and all that stuff like that. But first lap across the line, you already see we're really down on Vettel, and we're actually 3.6 seconds down on Sebastian, which isn't great. That was only good enough for P20. We find some more pace in the middle sector. We actually end up going P14, which again isn't great, but I'm going to have to go and see if that's good enough. And luckily enough, just for us, Alexander Albon gets P13, but ourselves just about scraped through by 0.02 of a second. So it was very close here in this qualifying session. We go out on the medium tyre just because we used one extra set than we probably would have wanted to. And, inevitably, probably isn't going to work out. Currently P14 in the car behind us is Robert Kubica, but we're up quite a bit in the middle sector as well, as we're also up in the first sector as well. So we need to improve and try and get into the top 10 as best we can. We need a good Q3 appearance, which would be good for us, obviously good for our contract after this race when we do renew it. But we're going to come across the line now, 7 tenths up, and that puts us actually P3 for the time being, which is quite interesting to see how all the cars will develop afterwards. But that puts us down to P6. That was actually a pretty decent lap, nearly 8 tenths off the pace. But ahead of Pierre Gasly and Devin Butler, which is always good. Our teammate Alexander Albon out with Lucas Faber. So not a good session for our teammate. It started off well, and unfortunately it just didn't get to where he needed it to be. But coming through the last corner now on this, our first run in Q3. Going to come across the line, not too far off Leclerc. Definitely not as bad as it was in Q2, but 1.7, so I guess that's a good benchmark. And then sure enough, we go up faster than we did before, so 1.4 seconds. I noticed track evolution was really big around here. There was a lot of time to gain as I go completely off the circuit, and we're going to go really wide through the last corner. So we've really hindered our run, but you can see we're already up compared to how it was last time. But we come across the line, that puts us P4. Probably could have taken provisional pole before the all the cars do their time lapse. So what was P4, we retire from the session as we had some more sets of tyres left to use, and that's going to put us in a very comfortable P7, which is a bit weird if you think about P7, but ahead of Devin Butler, ahead of Perez and Magnussen. Vettel in P2, which is actually quite interesting, but he will not stay there, as this is another one of them races where grid penalties do take effect, especially towards the back end of the seasons when grid penalties start to come into it. And it's where the hell did the cars go? It's weird how often from now to the end of the season, how many cars take penalties. I don't think it's very realistic in that sense. Teams are very careful with it. I guess around Italy and Belgium it's slightly different, but Gasly doing bits and getting up to P2. He didn't obviously qualify there, but obviously he pushed himself up. Leclerc P4, Hamilton 5, and ourselves move up P6 due to Sebastian Vettel's penalty. So he's going to be coming through the field quite rapidly, I would say. Kimi Räikkönen P12 ahead of our teammate Alexander Albon, who's in Alfa Romeo sandwich by the looks of it. Kubica up to P15. Absolutely mental. I don't remember him getting into Q2, but no, the game doesn't lie. The game's always correct. That'll be the strategy. Lap 7 on to the hard compound tyres, and going all the way there, which will be, it should be fine. The tyre wear won't be great, but at the same time, it could be a hell of a lot worse. Definitely not going to go to the 2-stop strategy. It just makes no sense, to be honest with you. But It's going to be interesting to see how we do get in underway on this Hungarian Grand Prix. We're ready for the lights to go out now. We've got 5 lights and we are underway immediately. Another short stop. We get off to an okay start. Hamilton obviously goes to challenge Leclerc. Leclerc's going to challenge Gasly. We've got Vettel trying to come up our left-hand side. It was actually a better start than we thought. But Vettel's going to try to go around our outside. We go really deep into the corner, almost in the back of Verstappen. We've got Leclerc to our right and we have gone round. And that has been Sebastian Vettel who has taken us round in the exit of turn 1. And now we're just stuck. There is a safety car because there was like a little bit of a traffic jam there. But Sebastian Vettel, it looks like he was the one that punted us round. And now we've gone from what was probably a P5 all the way down to the very back of the grid behind George Russell. We're going to have a look at a replay and see what actually happened. We said we didn't get off to a great start, but in hindsight, it was probably one of the best starts we got. You know, we managed to keep up pace with the leaders, and we didn't actually get overtaken until by the braking zone. So we go deep, a few cars lock their tyres, we go round really wide, and Vettel just kind of gets pinched in between us. We do turn in a little bit, but obviously, you know, we have to make the corner, or we're going to go straight off the circuit. And I think on the other side of him was the Ferrari and also a McLaren. So Vettel didn't really have nowhere to go, but at the same time, you can see here, should have just backed out of it there. You know, so Vettel's got damage. Obviously, we're around, we're in last place, which isn't great for us. And we'll look at the back for the Red Bull's perspective. And yeah, just round we go. It looks like Sergio Perez actually managed to win out of that the most and just absolutely fly past. We've got Devin Butler's perspective. So we go deep. So it was Butler that was on the right-hand side. And it's just there. Vettel doesn't really have nowhere to go. But at the same time, you know, you can hit the brake pedal. And, you know, again, I could have probably moved a bit more to the left. But obviously now at the time, you're just trying to make the apex and, you know, try and do what you can. But definitely not a great start for ourselves. We've got a lot of work to do here. But we're going to come into the pit lane. We're going to fit the hard compound tyres and, you know, see how far we can go. Like, if we can go to the end, we'll go to the end. Or if you have to strap on a set of softs towards the end, and we'll see what we can do. But Vettel has actually jumped us, which is, I think that's a bit unfair. You know, he was the one that caused the contact and put us round. But, you know, somehow he's ahead of us. But they're all on soft tyres. And, you know, we're on hard tyres. We're taking it very gingerly to see if we can save as much tyre wear on this as possible. But it's going to be interesting to see what we can do. You've got Perez just ahead of Sebastian Vettel. We're going to have to push like no tomorrow if we're going to try and get back in the points. We've got early doors. We're going to have to try and push this round as possible. I believe these tyres are scrubbed. I believe I used these in... I want to say I used them in practice. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they're scrubbed tyres. Here we go. Come across the start-finish line. Not a fantastic restart. By any means necessary, but we are closing onto Sebastian Vettel, and might get our elbows out into turn 1 and just dive it down his inside. As no, thank you, Seb. Thanks for spinning us around, but we're back through, and I'm not sure if he's got his front wing changed. He may do, but I'm not entirely sure. Got Perez will be the next car we're looking to overtake, and coming on towards the end of lap 4, we've got a purple middle sector. We can see Perez going to dive down his inside, tie it back to Gasly's rear end, and Gasly, another car who's dropped down massively. I'm not sure what happened to him. I believe he made a pit stop, but as to why, I'm not entirely sure. But you know, we'll have to worry about that at the end of the race. You can see tyre wear is not looking too bad. It's going up by about a percentage, maybe 2% per lap. The rears seem to be the worst ones for sure. But we're going to see if we can try and close up to Gasly a little bit more. We go set a personal best. We're quite a long way back, but he's going to get bunched up because Russell, actually ends up snatching a break, which gives us an opportunity to dive down the inside, and so does Perez. Perez has followed us through perfectly there to get the jump on Pierre Gasly. We go down the inside of George Russell, and then Perez just comes along and just collects Russell and sends Russell off into the gravel. So that's not really fair for George. Of course, Perez put him in the gravel. We see an opportunity to dive down the inside of Lance Stroll. We bang on his side pod barge board, and we actually managed to hold off, go around the outside. It's going to be difficult as we had to take evasive action to not cause any more contact. I'm going to go all the way around the penultimate corner, and now through the final corner, all the way down to the inside. It turns to the inside, and I'm going to get that job done on the racing point. Now we have to be careful because obviously they've got a Mercedes engine. Hulkenberg though is our next culprit. You can see we lock up into the chicane. We're going to force our way through. We thought better of it midway through the corner, but he left us the room, so we had to go for it. He's already committed. And Danny Rick, similar to what happened to Stroll, he's going to get bogged down by Albon and Weber fighting. But, you know, we've had a few run-ins with Ricardo. Ricardo will not give up this position very easily. And side by side through this long left-hander, he's going to try and push it. He's actually ahead of us at this point going into the last corner. But we're going to hold the inside line as best we can and hopefully get a better exit as Hulkenberg is actually going to try and fight him for that position, which is handy for us so he managed to make a position. There's yellow flag just ahead. I believe that's for a Haas car. We've got a little gaggle of cars here with Kubica leaving in P6. We've got Albon just to the left. We're going to have to take evasive action. There's a car coming back onto the track. Kubica's round. We're on the grass just to try and avoid that collision, and that was mental. There was a car that came back onto the track, and Kubica just obviously got destroyed by it, but we let Weber through because we had an illegal overtake, rightfully so, I suppose. But we're going to have a look at a replay of what happened. So Kubica's looking up left, right and centre at this point, and the two Alfa Romeos are fighting behind him, followed by myself and Albon. I was having a little look at Albon, see if anything was doing, but you can see Kubica comes around here, and he just goes in. Magnussen's just in a really weird position. We just miss out getting hit by Kubica, but you can see all those cars are just... Well, they got really slowed down an awful amount. There's Grosjean even. Sorry, it wasn't even Magnussen, it was Grosjean. I'm not even surprised at this point it was Grosjean, to be fair. It makes a lot of sense now. But, so yeah, Romain Grosjean is going incredibly slowly. It looks like he has a problem. Like, I just rewound to see if I could see anything on the tyres, but there's nothing on the tyres. He just pulls it and he just goes straight into Kubica. Obviously, we take pretty evasive action. It was pretty decent from us, if I do say so myself. But, yeah, I had to let Weber through, and we couldn't get back past him. Just straight away, because obviously the legal overtake. We're going to come into his DRS, and we're going to try and get a move down into turn 1. Devon Butler's in the pit lane, so Devon Butler's actually looking really good. We've got Bottas who comes out just ahead of us, so if we put in a bit more effort, we probably wasn't conserving as much. We probably could have taken Bottas in the pit stop phase, but Bottas will be going to the end, and I believe Devon Butler, wait and see what tyre he's on before we can determine that. But Weber is putting up a really decent scrap here to try and hold off the position. We go a little bit wide here, and just try and settle into a little bit. So Sergio Perez, after all the efforts he's made, he's actually out of this session, which is kind of disappointing. We've got a McLaren of, I believe, Lando Norris. Bloody Lando, of all people, in the lead of the race. He's actually going to come in and make his pit stop here, so he's going to be going on to maybe... Oh, it's got to be the hard tyres, yeah. So Lando's going to the end. I'm not sure about Devon because he stopped a little bit earlier. We're over halfway through this race. We've done essentially the whole race on this one set of tyres so far, and it's not looking too bad. It's looking pretty well. Norris is actually he came out ahead of Hamilton, and Hamilton had to pit again. So Lando's doing a bit. He's catching up to us a little bit. The last few races we've had quite a good scrap with Lando, and I'm really not looking forward to having another one with him, if I'm honest with you. But 63% is the most damaging tyre. We've probably got about 17% until things start to get a little bit hairy on the rear tyres. So give that maybe about 5 or 6 laps, and then we'll have to start worrying about it. But Hamilton has overtaken Lando after catching up to him. 73%. Norris is still fighting with Hamilton. We go incredibly deep into the corner. Hamilton's going to try and go around the right hand side. It looks like there's Lando going there as well. He didn't quite make an opportunity, but we managed to hold a position off from Lewis Hamilton just for the time being. We've got 6 laps to go, including this lap, of course, and you can see how close this was between myself and Lewis. And going on the grass just a little bit. Lewis obviously pulls to the right hand side, and we banged tyres a little bit on entry. It was kind of screwed up his exit, to be fair, but Lando obviously fancied a move, but he couldn't quite get the job done. But come down start finish straight to start a brand new lap. Lewis Hamilton fancies a move down the left hand side. He's actually got a little bit of damage to his front wing, so we can take advantage of that as we go incredibly deep. Looking the front left tyre, damaging the tyre, but we're not too bothered about that. Norris is actually going to try and make a pass on Hamilton, and it looks like he's made it stick pretty well. So Lando up to P3. Lando has really surprised me this season. He's been there fighting throughout, and he's doing a stellar job. But stellar job that is. He may look for a move here. He's going to have a little nose, see if he can come down the inside. But we actually get a little bit of understeer through the exit, so our tyres are really starting to fall away. Hamilton actually made a move on Lando into that corner, which is quite ironic. I didn't quite expect that to happen. But yeah, you can see we're really starting to struggle. We miss the chicane entirely, and we are really starting to struggle on this set of tyres. 68% is when the punches can start to happen. But we come through the last corner on lap 31, about to start lap 32, and Hamilton is looking quite punchy. Norris has fallen back a little bit. He may have a bit of damage with Hamilton if they've had a little bit of contact. We're down the inside, same as last time, a little bit of a lock-up. We actually managed to make the corner a bit better this time, but Hamilton decided, have a little nudge with us and see if anything was doing going into turn 1. It's getting really, really close. You can see Hamilton on lap 34 has actually started to come back at us a little bit more aggressive. He's forced his way down the inside, and he's got no grip because, obviously being on the softer tyre, it's not as durable as us. Obviously ours are all over the place. But we're having a good old scrap here. You've got Gasly's finally caught up to this little quartet of cars. He's got the Ferrari in the background, I believe, of Vettel. Could be wrong, maybe Leclerc. Bottas has absolutely disappeared into the lead of P1, and it's crunch time here with Lewis. We're looking good for a P2 if we can hold him off. We've got Hamilton screaming down the start-finish straight. He's going to be almost the car length ahead into turn 1. We lock up massively, and we're actually going to hold that position into turn 1. And Gasly, out of nowhere, has somehow managed to get past Lewis. He's going to try around the outside. We're definitely not going to give up to a position to Lando. Now, if Gasly thinks he's going to get it, he's got another thing coming. We are not conceding to Pierre, and obviously, Pierre actually gets taken by Hamilton and could get overtaken by Lando. So Gasly's not done a very great move. He should have just stuck behind. But we're counting our chickens before they hatch, really. Assuming we're going to get P2 here. Bottas comes across the line even to finish the race. You can see we are really struggling on our tyres. We haven't got a puncture yet, but it probably won't be long until we get one. We're definitely past the 80s at this point. We're just all over the road trying to hold on as best we can. Hamilton is making himself very large in our mirrors just to let him know that we're there. But the Ferrari's gotten past Lando as well. Gasly's actually dropped down behind the Toro Rosso and the Renault, but Hamilton fancies a move into the right-hander here, down the inside, and we're going to give him enough space if he fancies the move, but he doesn't actually fancy it. I think he may concede and take third place, but we make a bit of a mistake. He shows his nose a little bit. We get a little bit of a tap there from Hamilton, but we're going to come into the last corner in the lead of P2, and assuming we don't run out of fuel, which we've got plenty of abundance, as well as ERS mode, we're going to come across the line and take our first P2 of this career mode. We've got P3 in Austria, we've got P2 here in Hungary, and that that was a very, very long and physical race for myself. Like, when I was recording this, I generally felt drained and like I had a workout, it was so hard to like fight off the AI, and obviously with the corners and how quick they come and how consistent they are, it was very exhausting for me, which is the first time I've kind of felt a bit of exhaustion. Obviously being a 50% race, I can only imagine what 100% would be like. But yeah, doing the whole race on what was essentially one tyre was stressful. I took it easy in the opening half of the race, and then kind of had to push a little bit when Norris and Hamilton came up behind us, but it worked out in the end for us. Bottas obviously got his race win, which is happy days for Valtteri Bottas. But very interesting race. You can see Pierre Gasly, I'm going to get P4 in the end. Leclerc P5, Norris down to P6, unfortunately. Shame he wasn't on the podium, that would have been nice. Vettel in P11 after his horrific race. Weber actually got a penalty for a collision at the start of the race, which was a bit weird. A bit suspect to say the least. But again, it was a very, very tense race for ourselves. We're actually losing the rivalry to Pierre Gasly at the moment, which is a bit frustrating. We've got 6-point difference between myself and Gasly, but I don't think we'll be able to beat him. If we can beat him, that'll be absolutely mental. That'll obviously show off we need to get in that Red Bull seat sooner rather than later. And I toyed around with the idea of potentially moving to Red Bull during the summer break and coming back to Red Bull, going to Red Bull for the Belgian Grand Prix. But at the same time, I felt that that's good and all, but at the same time, I want it to be a bit more natural for Red Bull to come up to me like, oh, we've got a contract for you. That'd be pretty sweet. And obviously, we've got time for our contract. Our value compared to our contract is, I don't agree with that personally myself, but I'm not exactly a fan of this. The race bonus, they've changed it obviously quite dramatically here, and we're going to change that up back to how it was basically. So I'm not exactly happy. We might change the qualifying bonus different to what it was before, but I'm going to try level 3 on essentially all of these. Obviously par the simultaneous development. I'm not that bothered about that. We'll move down to second driver, try and give ourselves a bit of a contract, and if it doesn't work, then we can keep it. I don't think this has got a really good shot of being accepted, but we try and move up to 2 just in case, because I don't want to be lowball myself, and sure enough, it doesn't work. So we have a look at the other teams, and we've really thought about it going to Red Bull and seeing if there was any point, but our reputation is pretty good with Red Bull, but you never know. So we're going to change this to level 1. I think is going to be the best way to do it. Our pit stop efficiency, I can go down to level 2. I'm not that bothered about that, to be fair. Let's give this a go and see what they say. Very close, almost, but not quite. So if we change this to level 1, I think that's what we had before. We might have had level 2, and it was bang on the money. Bang on what we needed to get the contract to actually be accepted. But definitely a very interesting race to say the least. Again, with our rivals, I don't think we'll catch Gasly. If we can, that'll be amazing. Obviously, the next race being the Belgian Grand Prix, which will be an interesting race. I love that race myself. But, you know, it's going to be difficult. You know, the R&D development, we're actually doing pretty well. We're almost the 4th fastest car, given any R&D updates that we do have coming, which I believe, hopefully soon we can get some power upgrades, because Red Bull so far haven't upgraded their power unit, and it really shows. But, you know, we've got a R&D upgrade for aerodynamics, which will actually put us into first place in the aerodynamic chart, which is actually pretty mental, if I do say so myself. We're trying to upgrade our chassis, because our chassis is probably one of the worst aspects of the car, minus the powertrain. The powertrain really lets us down, especially in Germany. I'm not looking forward to Belgium and Italy, because those are power-dominated circuits. We could end up losing an incredible amount of time on the straights, and there's not many corners on the circuits really. You know, through the downforce that will help, but in the pure pace of the car, I think we'll struggle quite a bit. But that's been it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. It was an enjoyable race for myself to make and look back on, and obviously edit as well. But if you have enjoyed it, please do slap a like on it. It helps me out a lot. And if you're new around there, please subscribe for Formula 1 content every other day. That's been it from me, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.